So, good evening, everybody, and very happy New Year. Welcome to the first Hair and Barber Council business webinar of 2024. Amazing to think we're 3/4 of the way through January already, and I'm still saying Happy New Year to people. So it really nice to be joined this evening by some of our very long-term supporters, both in our sector and alongside our sector. So a big welcome to Chris and Harpreet from RLK, solicitors who we worked with very closely over the last few years since the pandemic, really. And they've got some fantastic advice in a topic that you wouldn't really normally probably think that we might be holding a webinar on a Monday evening about, but actually it's super relevant to all of the lives that we lead at the moment and how that can impact both our personal and business situations. And also absolutely wonderful to be joined by the wonderful Rae Palmer from We Love. Again, another fantastic supporter of the Hairdressing Council. And we look forward very much, Rae, to your conversation with David and learning a little bit more about your hairdressing and also business life. So welcome. Before we dive in to Harpreet's little presentation for us and some questions, I just wanted to fill everybody in on some of the work that we've been doing on the political front in the last 2 weeks. It's keeping both Colette, who I'm sure everybody knows is our Chief Policy Officer at the Hair and Barber Council, it's keeping Colette and I extremely busy and working very long nights because we are in the process of lobbying government and the opposition for more support and more recognition for our sector, because particularly after the autumn statement back in November, with the changes in the tax situation that made employed status even more difficult and made disguised employment even more prevalent, and then the increase in apprentice minimum wage that comes in the near future, we really do need to start seeing some direct financial support for hairdressers and hairdressing professionals. And so we've written to the Chancellor asking for a reduction in VAT for our sector to 10%, and also for support for those that do take on an apprentice, because we absolutely do not want to see people getting rid of their apprentices or not taking any more in the future. What you can do to help this is write to your local MP. We have got some template letters which are available widely online, Instagram, Facebook. We've got all of the main hairdressing bodies behind us and alongside us with this. And those letters work because 10 minutes before coming on this webinar, I was contacted by John McNally MP, who's the vice chair of our parliamentary group, asking me to come to Westminster and brief MPs on what is going on and the crisis that our industry is facing. And that's absolutely fantastic because it means we're starting to get the message across to those that make the decisions. So please write to your local MP. If you're not sure who they are, get in touch with us. We'll help you. There's some brilliant websites with that. We'll give you the draft letter, but we have a very short window of action here before the budget on the 6th of March. So yeah, that's what we've been up to. Good, exciting stuff. And so how can you beat that, Harpreet?
I can beat it.
So yeah, over to Harpreet and Chris from RLK. If you've got any questions, guys, please pop them in the Q&A function or the chat function. Colette and I will be monitoring both throughout. And yeah, over to you.
I think Chris, are you going to say something? I'll take it.
Sorry, Steve, mute my mic. Thank you very much again for your time this evening. I'm really pleased to introduce you to my colleague and head of the family department, Harpreet. Hopefully we're a familiar face from previous presentations. I deal with the commercial litigation aspect here at the firm, and I'm really pleased to say in the next couple of days the Hair and Barber Council will be announcing some big news from a big litigation that we brought on behalf of the Hair and Barber Council and its members against a very well-known large insurance company who shirked their responsibilities during the COVID-19 pandemic. I can't say too much more. I'm embargoed by the judge, but all will be revealed in the next couple of days. It's really, really good news. Watch this space. But until then, over to Harpreet. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, everyone. I'm Harpreet. I'm from RLK Solicitors, and I head the family team here. I've exclusively practiced in family law for the last 14 years, so I'm very well aware of all family-related issues. So at the end, you can ask me some questions, and I'm more than happy to answer them for you. I'm sure you all talk about to your colleagues about divorce, separation on like a frequent basis, and I know it's a topic that a lot of people discuss, and a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions and myths, etc. So I've done a short presentation just to kind of answer them myths, misconceptions that you may have or what you may think. The first slide I'm going to discuss is, the topics for today will be unmarried couples, financial settlements in divorce, disputes in relation to children, and some funding options in family law. The first topic I'm going to discuss is unmarried couples. Now, what does unmarried couples mean? Well, it means exactly that. They are referred to a cohabiting family if it's just a couple living together. But if they've got children, they are known as a cohabitating family. Now, the misconception usually with unmarried couples is, oh, we are common law married. Well, actually, there's no such thing as common law marriage. And there hasn't been in UK law since 1953. So actually, you're not common law married at all. You're just an unmarried couple living together. And you haven't. And one thing I think people also think is, well, actually, we'll live together. If we separate, we're going to get 50-50. I will get 50-50, I'll get 50. Well, that's not the case, actually, because the legal rights of unmarried couples are totally different to couples that are married. So that's a very big misconception people have, whereby they say, oh, actually, it's fine, we're going to split up, we're splitting up, I'm taking 50% of the house. That's not the case. The legal rights of unmarried couples are nothing like married couples. So actually, if you want legal rights as married couples, get married. In relation to what protection is there for unmarried couple, there's a lot of protection, actually. And I think at the starting point, when you are thinking of living with someone, I think you need to really think about something called a cohabitation agreement. Basically, this is a legal document and it protects you. So basically, if you separate, we can actually outline all the bits and bobs for you. And so it's actually quite straightforward. I mean, we're not saying everyone's going to split up, but it just saves all that extra hassle, and you get that legal protection, all them rights at the start. So therefore, when you do, and if you do separate, at least you are protected and you have a cohabitation agreement in place. Now, it's not only, we don't only represent clients that are thinking of living together, etc. We also act for many clients that are that have been living together and are thinking of separating. Please do come to us, because obviously we can advise as to how these assets can be split, etc. We're specialists in this field, so we don't want obviously you to think, oh, you could do this or that. Please come to us, and we would be more than happy to obviously assist you. The second slide is about married couples and financial settlements in divorce. Another one that's quite big is, oh, I'm going to get a quickie divorce. Can I get a quickie divorce? Well, actually, there's no such thing as a quickie divorce, because any divorce can take anywhere between 6 to 12 months. And if you've got a complex matter, i.e. finances involved, investments, shares, properties, actually it can take longer, and it's anything between 12 to 18 months. And also, with the divorce exercise, there's a certain process you would have to follow to the next steps. For example, you issue an application, a divorce application, then you have to wait something called a 20-week period, just in case, you know, you change your mind, etc. So there's no way actually there's anything like a so-called quickie divorce, because there isn't. Next question, but do I need a solicitor for a divorce? Well, why wouldn't you need a solicitor for a divorce? You know, at the end of the day, yes, they say, oh, it's a straightforward paper exercise. Get on the internet and tick some boxes and, you know, you're divorced. Unfortunately, that's not the case, because there are so many different loopholes that actually you can tick, etc. And then down the line, when we're sorting out your finances, we say, oh, well, actually, you shouldn't have done it yourself. Also, I understand Bill and Melinda Gates are in the process of getting divorced, and it's all straightforward, but they've also instructed solicitors. So please don't do it yourselves, because you must consult a solicitor. And obviously, who best to contact but us, because obviously we're specialists in this field. What powers are available for divorcing couples? Well, there's loads of powers available. There's a range of powers the courts can give in relation to a divorcing couple. We can get you order for sale of your property. We could get you lump sums. We could get you maintenance pending suit, and that's just interim payment for the husband or the wife, depending on the circumstances. Though, so please, there are a lot of range of powers available, and again, please do come to us, because obviously we can guide you in the right way. Another misconception is, oh, wow, I don't care, we're getting divorced and I'll get 50% anyway. Well, actually, that's not always the case. Yes, the starting point is 50-50. However, there's so many factors in different cases where it can deviate, the court can deviate away from that 50%. Some examples are who will be looking after the kids on a permanent basis. Yes, you could have shared contact, but one parent's going to obviously do that a little bit more for the child, and therefore, yes, they're going to get a little bit more. There may be things like, oh, actually, I bought this property before we got married, and that she or he hasn't put anything into it. So what can we do? Well, actually, we can do something called ring fencing. So there's lots of different ways, actually, we can defer and move away from that 50-50 if we believe we can actually get you more than that 50%. So actually, it's not a straightforward case, and it's not always a case, oh, yeah, we're going to have 50-50. So please, come to us for advice and we can guide you the right way. Another important topic, and another topic that's very close to everyone's hearts, is obviously children. What's going to happen about the children? Now, the first one is, well, what orders are available? You know, I'm separating from my partner. Well, firstly, there are many orders available. There's things like live with, whereby the court will determine which parent will live with the child, contact. There's other orders, for example, oh, we can't agree what secondary school or primary school our child's going to, what can I do? There's, you know, we can make an application to the court. There's also things like, oh, actually, they're going away, they're going out the country, but I don't trust him. I don't think he's going to bring my child back. We can also get you something called a prohibited steps order, whereby the parent will not be able to leave the jurisdiction with the child. So there's a lot of things that are available. So please, if anyone's going through anything like that, please obviously come and seek some help.
Harpreet, if I can jump in, because we've got a couple of questions coming already, because we know this is a topic that we got asked to cover, because people didn't quite know where to go and a little bit worried about, you know, a couple of things. I think it's brilliant that you've touched on children. And what I will say to members out there is, as Chris knows, I recently had a family law issue myself. Not with me. My husband's tried to get rid of me, but it's not that easy. But my daughter had an issue. And it was just like you said, Harpreet. It was a cohabitation issue, trying to get. Actually, it was harder to separate financially than it was in most cases, if you're actually bound by marriage. Somebody's asked a question online. Sorry, I'm streaming online, so I'm getting questions coming through all the time, which is, this is one I think everybody says, do I have to leave the property if the relationship breaks down, not married, have a child? I think a lot of people find themselves in this position, Harpreet, and I know you're covering this, but I thought, if we can answer some of these questions as we go along, it might actually give people some help with real life situations.
Well, actually, our advice is always don't leave the property unless there's issues, domestic violence, for example. We would never ever tell you to reside in the property and stay in the property if there's, but actually if there isn't, and there's ways you can work around it, it's always been more of an advantage that you stay in the property, because it's a lot easier then to negotiate, because what you don't want is, you don't want to leave your property and then actually your ex-partner has no intention of moving, and obviously their house, they're still living in the house, and whereby you could be moving with parents, rented property, etc. So I would not advise, unless there is domestic violence involved in the relationship, stay put.
And if there is any kind of issues with domestic violence, because we can't shy away from that, relationships break down for different reasons. If there is domestic violence, what can be done there to protect the individual?
Well, what we can do
anyway, signpost to.
Yeah, and again, there's various orders in relation to domestic violence. We could get something called an occupation order, whereby actually we would ask the other partner, the one that's being violent, to actually leave the property. So please don't, be alarmed whereby you think, oh, actually, I am going through a horrible time. There is domestic violence involved, but what do I do? Because I've got nowhere else to go. Then we can get them orders, and we can get them quite quickly. So it's not like you have to wait a few months with other orders, etc. We can do that as an urgency hearing and get that sorted for you. Also, there's something called non-molestation. That's just the occupation. It may be the partner leaves the property, but they're still getting the calls, the text messages, people spying, etc. We can get something called a non-molestation order, whereby the court direct that they don't go near the other party. So there are a number of orders that we can actually get.
I mean, I know it does sound like, a difficult subject, but I think this is why it's important to bring this to our members, because quite a few have asked for this, and we do ask them to come forward with topics for us where we can help them. And I don't want people to feel they're alone, Harpreet, and I think, Harpreet, it's kind of, a lot of people think in that situation they're isolated, they're alone. It's fair to say they're not alone. This happens all the time. And
I think the first step is actually getting that advice. I think that's the crucial bit, isn't it? Because actually, if you're sitting at home and you're going through this and you just think, no one's going to help me, what am I going to do? Yes, there is. We can help you. I think the initial, if anyone's got any queries, any questions, please do, because once you have that initial advice, and once you know, actually, oh my God, I've got options, I can actually do that, I'm going to do that. So don't sit and just be frightened. Please do get in touch.
And one of the key questions we have been asked, and a couple of questions have come through on this, Harpreet, because obviously, a lot of the people that we're talking to this evening are not just obviously got personal relationships, they've got business partnerships.
Yes.
This is where it can get really difficult for people. We already know of situations, and that's why some people asked us to cover this, is that, what about when they're actually partners in business as well? Can one person lock the other person out of the business? Do we have to involve different lawyers at that point? Does it go beyond family law? How do we protect them individually?
I think in relation to like shareholder agreements, etc., I think that starts going into a bit of litigation, doesn't it? And again, here at RLK, we're experts in that field, and we've got a great team that deal with all that. So yeah, it does go a little bit out the remit of. And there you go, there he is, our expert.
I was just going to say, Harpreet, I thought I was going to get the big ball team out, then I thought it was coming in, but it's not, and Gareth's smiling.
No, so we've got an absolute, as you know, we've got a fantastic litigation team. So yes, a little bit out the remit of the family proceedings, but again, and the initial advice, I think once people know actually what the facts are, I think you get that reassurance, and you can actually start taking them steps to kind of protect yourself.
I think, sorry to butt in there, but shareholder agreement is so important. It's my bread and butter. I deal with a lot of shareholder disputes, and they're always a result because there is not one in place. And so what I do a lot of litigation, but I do a bit of drafting work as well. So I draft shareholders agreements for businesses, and that's key. That's your foundation. That's your building blocks. It will be in both parties' best interest, to be honest, particularly at the start. And you can't deviate from that. There is company law we can apply, but typically a really well-drafted shareholders agreement, you'll be as safe as houses.
Yeah, and you're quite right there, Chris. And for everybody out there that knows, if you obviously, you'll have agreements with anybody going to business to under a limited company status, as Chris said, it falls to company law. But that brings me on to another thing as well, just sorry not to hijack this, but it's important to have those foundations in place, knowing what your business structure is, knowing what your agreements are, knowing what your exit plan is and what should happen in the event of the business, separating, because it is like a divorce, but in business. And also, we can do this on another subject. We've been asked about this a lot as well, but your corporate will side as well. And I know that sounds like a bit of a deep subject to bring up, but I've spent the whole weekend sorting wills out for my parents, and one thing that is clear on this is that if you don't have it written down from the onset and explicitly, that's where you will, in the nice possible way, guys, that's where you will incur additional legal fees to unravel everything. So I think that's a really good one, Chris. If it's all actually agreed up front, then it makes Harpreet's job a lot easier in order to actually satisfy both parties. And it can be amicable. I mean, what happens with regards to mediation, arbitration, Harpreet? Because somebody's asked online, do I have, my husband's saying I have to go to mediation, so I can't go to a lawyer?
No, that's not the case. What happens is, if you're making a Children Act application, even a financial one, what the court expects you to do is just attend mediation. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, I think, again, people get confused. It doesn't mean you have to be in the same room, because there's obviously situations whereby you can't sit in the same room. So there's something called shuttle mediation. So you're both in separate rooms and you can have it done. But actually, if, for example, you've made up your mind, you're going to issue that application, you simply ring a mediator and say, look, I am separating, I just need the form signed for court. So it's simple as that.
So would you suggest, Harpreet, that if this, so I'm in this situation, let's say I'm in this situation and I'm not quite sure what to do.
Yeah.
Before I do anything, would you suggest I contact you, so I know what I'm doing?
I think so. I think if you're so unsure and you just don't know, I think that's what you need. It's all well going to a mediator, but the mediator isn't going to provide the advice that you need, the next steps that you need to take, or how you need to protect your assets, etc. It's a family lawyer you need to see. So actually, if you come to see me and I say, well, actually, this is the way forward, this is how we're going to do it. Now you go off, get your mediation, get your form done, etc. And I think it's really important you get the initial advice on the outset. Otherwise, I think you start following a lot of things, or people are saying this, or going on to Google, etc., and it'll just go on.
Well, we all ask Google, and according to Google, I'm a billionaire and I'm going to live till the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it?
Yes, but you are quite right, and I think the key thing is as well. The people aren't alone. We know it's, I mean, I'm from a divorced family. My parents divorced when I was 5. So, the impact on that as well, and consideration of children. So, sorry, I jumped in on your presentation, but just some of these questions coming through are quite important. So I thought it'd be nice to cover them off.
No, it's fine. So the next point is, and again, a very common myth is, I've had this when some fathers have obviously instructed me, well, there's no point in me going through this court process because I know what the judge is going to do. He's going to just give all the access to the mother. Well, actually, that's not the case. Mothers do automatically get parental responsibility, as do fathers who are married to the mother. But actually, in December 2003, fathers that were on the birth certificate also get parental responsibility, and there's other ways of getting parental responsibility. So, again, we're here, we can let you know how to kind of move forward in that sort of aspect, but that's not the case. Maybe 15, 18 years ago, maybe it was more pro mums, but it's changed so much. And, the court want both mother and father to be involved in the child's life. So please don't ever think, if actually you're a father, that you've just got no chance, because that's not the case at all.
Yeah, because people do, in the nice possible way, they do use children as that kind of pawn in a battle, don't they? And
Well, this is
it's
it.
not intentional, it just happens.
It does, unfortunately.
Yeah, so if I can just, because obviously, coming on to some key elements. So I think, it's quite important that people obviously, and you've put on there as well, I think one of the key things you put on there, I think this is really important as well, Harpreet, grandparents' rights. I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
But there will be. So
There will be. And I'll give you an example. For example, do grandparents have rights? No, not automatic rights. However, if you've had a good relationship with your grandchildren and actually you've brought them up, and then all of a sudden you've fallen out with your children, and they say, well, actually, that's it. I'm stopping contact. Go away. You're not seeing them ever again. Well, actually, if you make an application to the court, you need permission, but if you make an application to the court, you're most likely to get the application approved, because it's a very low bar, unless there's safeguarding or anything like that, them sort of instance. But actually, grandparents do have rights. Once they've got the application, whoosh, there we go. And I'm in the process of representing a grandparent, and we've got quite far, actually, whereby she's got interim contact now, and, it's going really well. And actually, I think most likely she won't probably have the same level of contact, but she will have contact again. So grandparents do have rights, not automatic, but they do have rights if we issue an application to the court.
Yeah, and it's obviously difficult because people are quite, they want to ask questions, but they obviously want to keep it, there's loads watching, but they want to keep it, quite confidential.
Yes.
So what I would suggest is, if anybody's got anything, they can come to the Home and Barber Council, and obviously you'll see these guys, and these guys are brilliant. They've just, honestly, sorry for calling you the big balls team. You're not going to get it at least 5 times on any webinar, Chris. But I think, if you've got everybody fighting your corner or in your corner, it's these guys you want, really. That's what I think, anyway. So sorry, you can carry on with your slides now, Harpreet, before we go on to
okay, then we'll move on to my last one, funding options in family law. So some people will say, well, I'm going through a divorce and a separation, but I haven't got the ready funds. What can I do? What options have I got? Well, actually, there's facilities and there's companies out there that will support you through this process. And, and they will do this in the sense of they provide, they will provide you with that assistance, with that help, with your legal fees. And it's not necessarily always legal fees. They can do it, they can provide other support, whereby they can assist with living costs, etc. So there's a lot of options out there. And also with these companies, they're good in the sense of, we would take control of all that. We would make the application on your behalf, and it's quite quick. It's not, you don't have to wait months and months. I think it's probably a 2-day turnaround, something like that. So, there is help out there. So if you feel like, oh, one of the for example, your ex-partner's got all the money, you've got nothing, but actually we can assist with that, because we can get these companies to help you, to assist you, and thereby obviously move forward with your separation. So, obviously have a think about that as well, because that's a good option, whereby someone's stuck actually, and they don't know which way to go.
And I think that's the key thing, Harpreet. And I think, just summarising it, lovely there, because one of the reasons people often don't kind of progress is because of the cost and everything else. And equally, it's just the fear of the unknown, isn't it? You don't set up to do these things. But there's lots of support out there. Lots of support. We have the amazing hairdressing charity as well, don't we, David? So there's support in all different areas within our industry, and nobody is ever alone in these situations.
Yes.
But I think we can come on, we'll do some kind of company structure in the future, Chris, I think, because I think that might help a lot of people as well, because it's not just about relationships breaking down in your personal life, it's about business relationships as well, and we hear this a lot. So yeah, that is brilliant. So what we'll do is, after this, we'll share the RLK team's details on our website.
Yeah,
so you'll be able to see all of that.
So, yeah, any questions, anything like that, please do get in touch. And obviously I can assist you. And
Harpreet, are you happy for me to put the slides up on our website?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Okay, I will. I must admit, I've never tried to add a PowerPoint presentation to the website. I'll give it a go in a minute, see what happens. But thank you very much for that. And obviously, a very serious topic, and one I think that, we should all consider if we end up in that position. Is my takeaway there is, don't try and do it yourself.
Yes.
get a professional. You know, we in our trade we wouldn't encourage people to cut their hair at home and use box color. It's the same, you know, it's the equivalent of box color lawyers, isn't it? Google.
Well, yeah.
So thanks very much for that. Really good.
Pleasure.
So Ray, we've left the more glamorous aspect, although I think Chris is pretty glamorous at the time.
Gareth, can I just come in with a question for Chris before we to cut in for Ray? It's an obvious one for me, and you mentioned quite rightly, Chris, about having shareholders agreements if you have a limited company, but the sector we're in probably predominantly are sole traders. So a sole trader partnership agreement is
exactly the same.
As important, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think, you know, it's like running a good business. Relationships are in business, relationships personally. It's having agreements in place. Keep it clean, black and white. The more agreements you have, you get out of this. Oh, you said this, you promised me that, blah, 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 blah. And
every single one of my clients that come to me in trouble, like with a partnership or shareholder dispute, I always say at the first consultation, I bet you at the end of this, we will be drafting you one. And every single time that they do, and they recommend it to their business partners, friends, and I can't stress it enough. It will save you so much money in the long run.
Well, in my former life, I am a divorced person. I mean, it's a long time ago. It's a lifetime ago. But my ex-wife was my business partner, and I learnt the hard way. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. Guess what? I've got every agreement there is going under the sun now, and I am very happily married, and I hope I never need them. But boy, once burnt, very shy. And I would say to anybody, if you're in any situation at all, seek legal advice. And I know from Chris and Harpreet, congratulations on your excellent presentation tonight. RLK are the real deal, and they will look after you. And we're very proud to be working with them at the Hair and Barber Council. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
What we'll do as well, Chris, Harpreet, and everybody on watching us online, we'll come back, shall we, Chris, and let's do one on company agreements and what they should include.
Definitely, and I think for the sector as well, I see it all too often is restrictive covenants as well.
Oh, please, yes.
I've been successful with a lot of those sort of cases, but it's more of I see it a lot from where your stylists run off and set up in competition, and they're hard. It's the more senior they are, particularly when your business partners are going off and setting up in competition. Those are very, very good cases, and we can assist with those. But just need to make sure the groundwork is there in the first place to hang the hat on.
Very good.
We'll get you back on that, definitely.
So that does now bring us on to the inimitable, last but not least, Ms. Rae Palmer.
Hi, David.
SRSH.
Everybody, thank you, Gareth. Thank Colette. It's lovely to be here, and thank you very much for all of your great contribution to the industry. The council's doing an amazing job, so we're very, very proud to be partnering you and collaborating with you. Thank you.
So Ray, what I think will be a great starting point for us all, and for those who aren't so familiar with you, you and I know each other far too well and go back far too long, but you're looking a lot better than I am, is please tell us all a little bit about We Love and why you founded and started the We Love. What should I call it? A club membership? But what's it all about? And give us a little bit of an overview, please.
Yeah, sure. So We Love is a new brand, and it's a club for sure. It's the first ever in our industry that's been created by UK hair professionals. So it was around, probably I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, as a salon owner myself for many, many years, as you know, David. I started to realise there was a lot of problems in the industry, and those problems I felt needed to be addressed, and addressed by hair professionals themselves. So, you know, I believe that the industry needs a lot of empathy at the moment, And, you know, who better to empathise than with a salon owner than another salon owner, you know, and who better to empathise with another stylist than a stylist. So the organisation, the brand was set up really just as hair pros coming together to empower each other, to collaborate with one another, to empower each other. But actually now the brand has moved on in that we want to empower the industry. So it's not just about empowering each other, which is one of the reasons why we've collaborated with the Hair and Barber Council, because we want to support your mission. One of our missions that we love now is we want to empower the industry to be regulated. So we're very much focused on supporting you wherever we can in you achieving that mission. So we're gaining new members every day, and our members totally align with the key ethos and the philosophies that we love, which initially was about collaboration. But we also have very strong ethos towards sustainability, and we believe that holistic hair is the future. And we're very focused on not just learning the art and the craft, but actually mastering it. And there's a massive difference. So we are an education brand, we're industry led, but we're very focused on education, and you know, education that's professional, that's certified, that's endorsed by our industry authorities, HABIA, VTCT. And as we know, some of the problems that were really bothering me a few years ago was there was this massive trend of education going online, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with online education. We love online education at We Love. We have our own online platform ourselves. But for me, the industry, I feel very fortunate when I started, and the same for you, David, that when you learnt the art and the craft, it was in the salon, and it was in the classroom, it was in the academy. And I believe that we need to go back to that a little bit more as well, and to have, you know, the privilege of actually learning with someone is certified, that has had a lot of experience in the industry, and that can actually stand there and watch us and assess us and give us that experience and that knowledge actually with them. So yeah, there's some key fundamental missions that we have, and I just believe that now it's the time to work with as many great organisations and you know, collaborate with as many industry bodies as we can, and that's really where we're going.
Fantastic. And Ray, you touched on something. You know, you said that we have so many shared values between We Love and the Hair and Barber Council. And I know you've been state registered yourself for a long time, as I have. Just share, please, with us your thoughts about the importance of becoming a state registered member of the Hair and Barber Council, and you know, how that reinforces what you're doing with We Love, please.
Well, there's a big difference, I believe, between a professional stylist and a stylist. There's a big difference between a professional hairdresser and a hairdresser. A big difference between a professional colorist and a colorist. And that professionalism is all about registration. So, you know, if you want to be seen as a hair professional, you have to get registered. You know, it's part of our industry, and it's really important that we get regulated. And unless we actually get registered and we support the council and we become state registered, you know, we're never really going to have that respect that we truly deserve as an industry. And, you know, it takes absolutely so much education, professional education, to become a professional hairstylist. It takes the same amount of years as a nurse, a chef, a professional chef, you know, a professional nurse, you know, the same exams, tests, you know, to get to a standard that's professional. It really does take a lot of education, and I think that we need to be 100% seen as state registered. It is the future of our industry.
And of course, being state registered, for those hair professionals that want to go and work abroad, it's recognised abroad in Europe. It's recognised in the USA. I know that myself because I work in the USA regularly every year. So it's a great step to, as you say, proving that you are truly professional, and it's a very easy to follow membership. So, you know, I think we're all singing off the same hymn sheet here. So, Ray, you've started this journey. You're a former salon owner, and I love the idea of what you're doing at We Love. And you have this Purple Heart sort of you're wearing one proudly. Tell us about the Purple Heart for those people that don't know what that is, please.
The best and easiest way to describe Purple Hearts and its concept is chefs have Michelin stars, and now hairdressers, hair professionals can have Purple Hearts. So the more Purple Hearts you have, the more you're seen to have more experience and more qualifications in the industry. It's state registration with the council as the One Heart, and it's for all levels in our industry. So it doesn't matter if you're just starting out and you're on an NVQ level 2, you're at college, or if you've been in the hairdressing industry maybe as long as us, David. You know, and you want to refresh your skills, and you want to be seen as a master at what you do. You know, I'm a great believer in our industry. You're always learning. It's one of the greatest things about our industry, isn't it? Absolutely. Every day is a school day. And although I'm an educator myself, one of the reasons I love education is because I love being educated. I'm a great believer in if you love education, if you love going on a course, you generally love being an educator as well, and vice versa. So, you know, everyone's got in the club, everyone's got something to share. There's ideas, there's inspiration, there's motivation. And our industry's got so many fantastic hairdressers and salon owners that some of them we've never heard of before. And one of the things that we love to do at We Love is we love to platform the unsung heroes on our high streets that we've never met. They've never been in HJ before. They've never been in any trade magazine. They've never been to any British Hairdressing Awards events. You know, they're absolutely the heart of our industry. You know, they're the economy, they're the heroes in our industry. And I absolutely love platforming everyone in our industry, those commercial hairdressers on our high streets and around the country. It's really important that we meet all of them and give them an opportunity to have a voice and a way forward in our industry to be seen and noticed. And you know, the Purple Hearts is a really great opportunity. It's a club that's it's exclusive, but it's not exclusive. It's not exclusive in that, you know, it's only for the elite or the top 10% of our industry. It's for everyone. You know, we want to know everybody, and everybody's treated as an equal. You know, it's very much centered on about individuality as well. So recognizing that every hairdresser, every hair professional in our industry is just as individual as their client. Celebrate individuality in our industry. You know, what is it that every hair pro can bring to our industry? Because there's so many amazing ideas out there, and, you know, so many different entrepreneurs and creativity and vision. You know, it's actually a really exciting time for our industry, but it's actually about turning over the page. And at We Love, what we want to do is we want to be forward thinking. We want to actually embrace change. Change is good. Hallelujah. I love it. Change is scary. And, you know, I've run a business for 30 years. You know, David, we've known each other a long time, right? You've been in business, right? Mm-hmm. Change is scary, but change is something that's actually needed in our industry right now. And the things are naturally evolving. And what we need to do is we need to embrace those changes and embrace them in the right way and accept them, and actually, you know, this is the way forward. So Purple Hearts is very much a positive experience, and it's all about actually taking steps forward in your career, and we will help you every step of the way. So whether it be that you want to go on and you want to be a master colorist, a master stylist, you just want to be registered and be on the One Heart, support the council and getting regulated, every now and again coming along to a few classes, you can have as much as you want out of the club, out of Purple Hearts, or you can have the full-blown, I want to be an international art director and work on a stage with, you know, the British Hairdresser of the Year and meet Errol Douglas. It's whatever your dreams are, goals, aspirations, dream big, it can be done at We Love. And you know what? That was one of the things for me growing up in hair, David, was I felt very fortunate that from day one, I worked for the most fantastic hairdresser salon owner. I had the most incredible creative training, commercial training as well, business training. I've worked with incredible leaders, industry leaders, legends in our industry. I've been so fortunate. And I just feel that it should be the same for everybody coming into our industry. Everybody that's coming into our industry should have exactly the opportunities that I've had, that you've had. You know, and that for me is something I am very passionate about, is young people that want to go into hair, and they absolutely have every opportunity to achieve whatever dream it is they want in our fantastic industry, that we exactly the same as what we had.
I think you've encapsulated that, Ray, beautifully. And somebody who is coming up for, I'm looking for compliments now, I'm coming up for my 50 years in this industry. So I've been around a while.
Is that all, David? It looks like
I
more.
thought it was about 60.
Oh, thank you, guys. They know how to put me down nicely, don't they? But what we're saying really is different isn't always better, but when you get something better, it becomes different. And I think it's evolving our industry, and there are opportunities, huge opportunities out there for all the doom and gloom. There are actually some very strong green shoots of recovery, I believe. It's in pockets at the moment. It's not everywhere. And I don't want to offend anybody who's listening or participating tonight, but who's got a lot of problems. There are pockets of very promising change and evolution happening in our industry. And I think the Purple Hearts idea is great. And we love the fact that you are collaborating with us at the Hair and Barber Council. Can you just, Ray, without me leading you too strongly, as an individual, as Rae Palmer, do you think registration is important for our industry?
Oh, it's essential. We need the government to take us seriously, and we need that respect. You know, it's essential that we have regulation. And I think what's key really for me is we need to get the education out there to not just the consumer, but the hairdresser as well. I mean, it's absolutely incredible going out across the UK and just how many hairdressers don't actually know that we're not regulated. You know, this isn't just a consumer education. It's actually, we have a responsibility as an industry to get registered, but we have a responsibility to educate others in our industry that we're not regulated, and we have a responsibility in our industry to go out and educate the consumer that we're not regulated, because the more we get it out there, the more we're going to actually go forward and get the regulation that we need. And you know, it's absolutely incredible that someone can go out and buy peroxides, you know, like it's only peroxides and scissors that are, you know, and all of these really dangerous chemicals that shouldn't be in the hands of just everyone and anyone. It should be that we're recognised as you know, to use these chemicals, you need a master's qualification to do it. You know, you need a Purple Hearts too, and have a qualification. And actually, Purple Hearts is an accredited qualification now. So if you've got a Purple Hearts 2, you're not only registered with the council and verified as a hair professional, but you're actually, you know, seen as a hair professional, a master colorist that knows what the, you know, these chemicals do and what they can do to the hair and the skin and the scalp. It's just essential. Very, you can tell I'm very passionate about it. Right?
Thank you, Rae. I think you've got a question, Colette, which has probably come in from our panel.
Well, I have, yeah. It was an online question, and I think, do you know what, Rae? I could bottle you. I could listen to you for hours. Amazing. I always know you're amazing, but do you know what? To hear that passion and that love for our industry, which we all share, is just amazing. Okay. But one of the questions we had online was, do you think regulation will help us? Now, I'm going to ask you that question, and then I'll probably go on to something else because it might help a little bit. But do you think it will help?
Definitely. I mean, there's so many answers to that question, isn't there? And you can probably 100% answer that with me, because actually I don't have a salon anymore. I gave up my salon 2 years ago. After 30 years, you know, I decided that I want to work on We Love full time. You know, as a salon owner, it's, you know, we know that it's really important to have that professional status, isn't it? You know, we want to be able to say, you know, that as a business, my business is registered with the council and is recognised as a professional business. And I think the word professional comes in so much, doesn't it? You know,
it does. It does. And if we ask Chris and Harpreet, just bringing you back in for a second, how many lawyers are out there who aren't regulated or actually qualified?
Yeah, exactly.
No.
You know, no, but you could probably injure somebody in court, but you probably couldn't kill them with an anaphylactic reaction or cut them or, you know, inject, you know, all these kind of things. But you see, from somebody who's come from regulated industries like Harpreet and Chris, and I'm a hairdresser, and I found it really hard, by the way, to do that qualification, keep me with finance and everything. It was far easier. For me, it brings protection. It gets us into all the issues that our industry is feeling right now. I think sometimes people hear the word regulation and they think, oh, you know, does that mean red tape? It doesn't. It means protection. It protects the professional status, like you know, like it would for any other profession. It gives that safeguarding. It allows us to have the arguments like VAT and everything that we're having at the moment. We wouldn't have to shout as loud if we actually had regulation, because they'd have to actually invite us in by default. We wouldn't have to bang the door down, would we? So it brings a level of protection that I don't think anybody really understands that. So that's what I want to get across this evening. Because I wanted to replace the word regulation, if you like, not literally, but with protection for our industry. So protection for the professional, protection for the business owner, protection for the freelancer out there, you know, protection for the barber, protection for everybody against all the rogue trading we have. You know, this is our industry, and you know, like I said to Chris Harpreet, you know, if you had a load of lawyers giving out bad advice and writing up bad contracts at her, then what we would have is we'd have a situation where people were, you know, it was lawless society. So I think this is really important.
That's a great point that you've made, Colette. And I think, you know, I used it when I had my business. It gives you a point of difference because the majority of hair professionals, sadly, are not registered. And so by becoming registered, and it's not difficult, it's just proving that you've had a formal training, and that's all you need to do, or you've been in the industry a certain length of time, and we will give grandfather rights to certain people. So it's mentoring, it's you're joining people that are there to protect you, and by becoming a member of the Hair and Barber Council, you've got the opportunity to be a part of We Love with Rae, and you've got the opportunity to be protected by RLK solicitors, whether it's through your business or personal issues, and we're all in it together. And when you're part of something together, that creates a huge amount of confidence, and also it creates inspiration, which creates motivation. So it's a win-win-win, and it's not expensive. You know, it's £70 a year or less. Very, very, you know, amortized over the year. It's a little more than £1 a week. Couple
Sorry,
of quid
David, just to be clear, it's not £70 or less. it's £70.
Thank you. £70.
Please wait. If somebody said to you, if I said to everybody on there tonight, then right, okay, you back us with regulation, you join our membership, and we will actually have a good chance at actually dealing with the issues that you need protecting against. And Jackie online has just put, regulation will allow us to all work on a level playing field, so we're all skin testing. Brilliant issue there. We've just solved the skin testing issue. The Hair and Barber Council have worked on this for 3 years to get this harmonised protocol. We've worked with Chris and RLK to, you know, fight the battles that nobody can fight individually. This is what it brings you. It brings you the backup that you don't normally get. So I think it's really...
I always work on 48 weeks, Colette. So the membership is £1.45p a week.
I don't go on a holiday,
Wow,
David. So
wow.
I
You know, the benefits of which are, you know, you can't even buy a cup of coffee for £1.45. So you're getting all these benefits for £1.45p a week. Who wouldn't want to buy into that?
And I think it's important,
really,
David, to say as well, the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes. You know, we're not good. We don't tell everybody all the time about how much work we do on this, how many phone calls me and Gareth have a day. And I'm sure he's got me on auto divert now, you know, but we do a huge amount for you, you know, for our industry, the industry we love. And I think, you know, before we close, we can bring that back onto our VAT campaign right now, if I can, Gareth and David. So right now, you know, we're calling for a reduction, an emergency reduction in VAT to 10%. Okay, we've still got lots of arguments to have on this, but we think the industry needs help now. Okay, we don't need help later, we need it now. Okay, we you know, the cliff edge has come. You know, and whilst we've got a huge amount of positives in our industry, we've got amazing people like Ray in our industry showing us that kind of, you know, how amazing our industry is, and making, and I'm very grateful to Ray this evening because it helps us to refocus on what we're here for. You know, we're here about hairdressing. You know, we're here about that, and it's really hard sometimes. And I'm sure Chris and Harpreet want to actually join you for an MVQ now. I'm sure of it. You know, Chris, you can smile, but we'll get you cutting hair one day on here. I promise you. But the thing is that, you know, so on the VAT one, what we need you to do is we need you to join this. Like David said earlier, quite eloquently, you know, we stand together. And I think it's important not to kind of think, well, somebody else will do it. You know, because let's be honest, I believe our industry can do anything when it unites. I believe we can actually challenge anything, we can tackle anything, and we can achieve anything. So we need you to download the letter, send it to your MP, and as Gareth said, it's already reached the dizzy heights of Parliament. So how amazing. So I'll let
Suzanne has just popped up on the comments and said she feels we need to work with the insurance sector.
We are.
We are, Suzanne, very, very much so. So, you know, we work very closely with some brokers called Sentio who have developed a policy that actually covers you for the treatments that you're carrying out. Because really worrying, lots of the policies, particularly those that are bought based on price, so they are direct online, where there's no advice given, in many cases, they don't actually cover you for what you need them to cover you for. They have exclusions that are impractical, and particularly around colour testing, for example, and that's why our new protocol is really clear and is actually fit for purpose and allows you to protect the consumer by testing when you need to, protect yourself because it's acceptable to the insurers. So, you know, set that policy, all that information, it's all available through our website. Just go on.
And the reason we did, and just jumping in, Gareth, the reason we did that and bringing Chris back in now, you know, we went to insurers and we started working with them years ago because we had this issue with business interruption, and Chris knows all about that. He's fighting all these sounds for us. You know, and I'll equally say if there's anybody with Beasley Insurance out there, Morgan Richardson, you know, anybody like that, get in touch with us. So we are working with them, as Gareth said, very closely, but we're not going in and saying, yes, we'll take what you give us. We're actually writing the policies for the industry. So they're written by the industry, for the industry, and agreed by insurers. So we don't have to do what we've done and actually take them to court because the wording's erroneous, eh, Chris?
I've seen thousands of these policies, hence I introduced you to Sentio, because I knew that they were the good guys, having seen thousands of you know, rubbish policies, and the difference is remarkable. You are getting it cheaper and yet more coverage. It is an absolute no-brainer. So whoever you are with right now, if you're renewing or not, get onto Sentio Salons. It will be the best phone call of your life. Well, of your business, that way. Not necessarily your life.
I agree, Chris. And again, all the info for that is available. Contact details available on our website. So, and I think that takes us over our hour. So, a very, very big thank you to Harpreet, to Chris, to Ray, to Colette, and to David also. Really, really informative, really interesting stuff. And importantly, thank you very much to all who came and watched and taken an hour out of a Monday evening. You know, if you've got any other questions or queries about this or any of the other topics that are impacting you, get in touch with us and we'll find you somebody who can answer your question. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys, and have a lovely rest of your evening.
And thank you to you, Gareth, as well.
Thank you, everybody. And just remember, we're here for you. Thanks, Ray. Thank you, Gareth. Thanks, Colette, for all your hard work. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Harpreet.
Bye.
Bye-bye.